am Thadius Might, the magician of time, extraordinaire storyteller, and have I got a story for you? Long ago, a tornado killed my wife and son. Longing for their return, I confided my grief with a mysterious man at the pub. Little did I know, he possessed the power to turn me into time itself so that I may see them again. However, it came with an unprecedented cost. I may never see my daughter again. To lift the curse, I must reassemble the fragments of the golden lion, a magical artifact capable of effortlessly bringing one's thoughts to life. Unfortunately, I cannot touch the artifact, or I will perish. Throughout my journey through time, I found 3 unlikely fellows to help me with my quest. Our journey begins now. I often wonder if our choices are an act of destiny or an act of free will. Surely, there must be some twinkle of free will, but how much of our lives are already planned and how much is left to chance? I asked myself this question after I watched the soaring spear aimed at my friend Clyde during our final battle with the Romans inside the Temple of Man, nestled deep below the Great Pyramid of Giza. I want to help my friend, but I can't help but feel paralyzed. You may be wondering who I am. I am Thadius Might, the magician of time. I can travel through and manipulate time by using my large hourglass. My mates Clyde, Cole, Arnold, Oliver, and Imogen join me in my quest for the 3 pieces of the golden lion, a magical artifact comprising of the head, the heart, and the chest. I began my search for the golden lion after a vile shapeshifter placed a curse on me that would keep me from my daughter, Amelia. We finally located the 3 pieces after an extraordinary 6-month expedition through time, Earth, and another world called Midoriya. We encountered large beasts thought to be extinct, and other world creatures once thought by man to be nothing more than fairy tale. I can assure you, what you are reading is much more than another boring fairy tale. The vault in which we stand is vast. The height of the ceilings is grand enough to comfortably fit an adult giraffe. 3 massive pillars stand at its center. Clyde stands on top the tallest pillar which stands in the midst.
Clyde.
Oliver, Clyde's grandfather, shouts in terror. Oliver leaps from the top of the left pillar as he races toward the spear. I remain paralyzed, but why can't I move? Surely, I must feel some sense of urgency to save a friend's life, yet, I remain still at the middle pillar's foot. Arnold rushes up the right pillar, despite knowing he won't reach him in time, yet, I remain still. Cole, hands bound behind his back, glares at me while he lies on the floor. Imogen lies unconscious. I wish I could say that I had given up on a daring heroic effort, but that would be a lie. Don't get me wrong, I want to save Clyde. I could pause time, climb up there and aim the spear at the wall, yet, I remain still. It's not for lack of effort. I can't move. I'm sure you're wondering just how we found ourselves in such a precarious predicament. I would be glad to share our story. Allow me to regale you with the tale of all tales, the adventure of all adventures. This adventure starts with Clyde and how we all came together. Book 1. The Thrilling Adventures of the Secluded Man, by M. Scott Smallwood. Chapter 1. The Woes of Clyde. Clyde, a 37-year-old skinny bloke, resided in a cozy studio apartment in the bustling downtown area of London. His flowing brown hair drooped just above his shoulders. His scruffy beard added a touch some ladies would find appealing. if only it weren't for his socially awkward demeanor and reclusive tendencies. Clyde was a journalist at World Football Magazine, an international sports publication that doesn't focus on American football. His boss, senior editor Richard Proctor, was often unpleasant and didn't appreciate Clyde's hard work. Despite this, Clyde remained hopeful because he was promised a promotion to the senior editor role. Luckily, Richard was offered a more lucrative position at Football Pro, and Clyde eagerly anticipated his departure. Since he took on the senior editor role, Richard routinely assigned unpleasant tasks to Clyde. 6 months ago, Richard stormed toward Clyde's cubicle and dropped a folder on his desk.
"Clyde,"
he bellowed,
"I need you to rewrite this article. I had assigned the interview to Jane, but she can't write an article to save her life."
Richard glanced at Jane's cubicle and added,
"But she's easy on the eyes, wouldn't you say?"
with a smirk. Clyde opened the folder. Richard added,
"I'll need this done first thing in the morning."
Clyde dreamt daily of throwing Richard out of an open window, specifically from the 12th floor. With a slip, he verbalized high thought as Richard approached the coffee machines.
"I hope you've got your parachute."
Richard paused in confusion.
"I don't understand. What does that mean?"
he thought to himself. He walked to Clyde's desk and asked,
"What did you say? Explain that to me."
Clyde was taken aback when he realized that Richard overheard his conversation. Trying to downplay the situation, Clyde chuckled.
"Oh, it's nothing. I suppose I won't have the chance to play my flute after all."
Richard was certain Clyde said nothing of a flute. However, he reminded Clyde,
"Okay, remember to address this first thing tomorrow morning."
"I'll get right on it,"
replied Clyde. 8 years ago, Clyde and Richard were strong contenders for the senior editor position. Initially, Clyde was the preferred choice, and he was set to take over the role in a matter of days. However, fate had other plans, and a string of unfortunate events derailed Clyde's plans. Clyde was tasked with interviewing Douglas Ward, England's renowned football player, which left him fidgeting in distress. Clyde and Douglas were classmates in high school, but the memories of Douglas and his teammates bullying Clyde continued to haunt him. Days before Douglas's final high school game, he tipped Clyde upside down and shoved his head into a toilet. Douglas felt so amused when he saw tears falling from Clyde's eyes that he turned to one of his teammates and said,
"We need to get a picture of this. Does anyone have a camera?"
Clyde's hopes were dashed when a girl he was interested in emerged from behind the group of players.
"I have a Polaroid,"
she announced. Chloe, a school newspaper photographer, was frequently called upon by the team for her skills. Despite being aware of Clyde's crush on her, she respectfully declined his advances as she did not share his feelings. Clyde's fluttering heart may as well have stopped as he felt betrayed. He couldn't believe she would do this to him. She eagerly snapped a photo of Clyde and posted an article in the school newspaper titled "Don't Be This Guy on Game Day." Clyde did not want to attend school for 10 days. When he returned, he was met with unkindness from his classmates. They teased him with hurtful names, including Crybaby and Toilet Boy. However, the most damaging nickname came from Douglas, who dubbed him Mr. Swirly. Clyde was nominated for a prestigious literary scholarship at Oxford University. He was writing his first novel, featuring a daring protagonist, Arnold McCord, who would encounter many thrilling experiences. Clyde had ambitions of becoming one of England's most renowned authors, but Douglas had different plans for him. Clyde prepared a speech on a folded sheet of paper for their high school graduation, which he was eager to read. He was excited to share a portion with a classmate in the school restroom. Douglas overheard part of Clyde's speech and decided to write a repulsive and hideous version to replace Clyde's eloquent and beautiful speech. While Clyde was away from the classroom, Douglas switched the papers in Clyde's backpack. Clyde waited until it was time to deliver his speech before opening the letter. When Dean Falcorn called on him, he confidently made his way to the podium. Clyde addressed the audience.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be speaking here today.
While speaking, Clyde noticed Douglas smirking in the crowd. He added,
For those who don't know me, my name is Clyde Lowry, also known as Mr. Swirly.
As he gazed at the letter, the crowd erupted in laughter. He fidgeted nervously, feeling perplexed. He knew he hadn't written those words. Despite the crowd being able to hear every word he read aloud, he soldiered on.
I'm not even sure why the dean chose me to speak to all of you. I mean, really, I can't even tie my own shoes, let alone inspire a group of students who are better than me at everything to succeed in something they might fail. Let's face it, most of you won't achieve anything meaningful.
The crowd jeered at him, but he quickly explained,
I didn't write this, honestly.
Please stop this, Clyde.
Dean Falcorn said sternly.
What is the matter with you?
I didn't write this.
Clyde replied.
Please don't play games and take care of this issue.
Dean Falcorn requested. Clyde addressed a hostile audience that had been hurling insults and jeers at him. He apologized for the absence of his prepared speech and offered a sincere message.
You have the power to excel in whatever you choose to pursue.
Despite his efforts to appease them, the crowd remained visibly agitated, with even the dean appearing displeased. Dean Falcorn warned Clyde that he risked losing his scholarship to Oxford if he didn't rectify the situation promptly, adding that his father wouldn't be pleased with such a setback. Clyde nervously stood before the audience, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. Dean Falcorn's pressure made him respond more quickly than he expected. His final words to his classmates were like a hammer that sealed his fate. Clyde sighed.
It doesn't matter. You all will do what you want, and nothing I say can change that. Let's face it, none of you liked me from the beginning. You made fun of me all year.
He pointed at Douglas.
Because of this guy who acted like a child.
Clyde paused while Douglas laughed. Clyde expressed,
You all used to call me derogatory names and bully me for no reason. We could have been friends, but instead, you laughed at me. Honestly, being associated with all of you was an unpleasant experience. I hope you all live in cardboard boxes and eat scraps from dumpsters.
He turned to Dean Falcorn and added,
As for you, Dean, my father's opinion doesn't matter. I haven't seen him in years, and I doubt he even remembers me.
After exiting the stage, Clyde started his journey home on foot. Despite sabotaging his chances of getting an Oxford scholarship or being accepted into a prestigious university, he felt accomplished. Clyde was confident that his adventurous novel would lead him to success and didn't care about anything else. When Clyde returned home, his mother, Catherine, sternly called out from the living room,
Clyde, we need to have a conversation immediately.
Due to an emergency at the hospital where she worked as a nurse, she could not attend his graduation ceremony. Clyde quivered and felt hesitant to enter the living room, but he always complied with his mother's request. Catherine, sitting on the sofa, gestured toward the love seat and instructed him to sit down. She asked,
What were you thinking?
He replied,
Oh, you already heard.
I'm aware of this situation. Dean Falcorn contacted me immediately, expressing his concern for your welfare. How are you feeling? Is everything okay?
It's nothing new, Mother.
What do you mean?
She asked. In a casual tone, Clyde shared his experience. After a short pause, she noted,
Well, I must say, timing was never your strong suit. Have you considered the consequences of your actions on your future? Your invitation to Oxford has been revoked. What do you plan to do next? And how do you think your father will react?
Clyde glowered.
I don't care about that monster's opinions. He means nothing to me. I have no use for that poor excuse of a man. Any concern I had for his thoughts left with him when he walked out the door.
Clyde's father, Professor Matthias Laurie, was a distinguished theoretical physics professor at Oxford University. He received a Nobel Prize and knighthood for his thesis on the afterlife and how it could be more of a theory than a belief. However, Clyde and his mother felt neglected by Matthias, as he spent most of his time pleasing the renowned individuals of England. At the age of 10, Clyde was engrossed in adventures with his friend, Arnold. His parents believed Arnold was imaginary because they never met him. While his father found Clyde's child's play to be foolish, his mother, Catherine, was tired of her husband's workaholic nature. One evening, Clyde burst into the kitchen, drenched, as if he had been playing in the rain, only it hadn't rained one drop. Clyde put on his full rain suit, with a yellow rain hat, long fisherman's jacket, yellow bibs, and blue rain boots, for his outdoor playtime. Matthias stood up and looked at Clyde, examining his clothes.
Excuse me,
He shouted.
what were you doing just now?
Calm down, Matthias. He's just a boy.
Interrupted Catherine.
What were you doing? You tell me this instant.
Clyde muttered.
Arnold and I were discussing.
Interrupting him, Matthias bellowed.
No more, Arnold. I'm tired of these childish pretend games with your imaginary companion. It's high time you mature and acquire some practical abilities.
Matthias.
She interrupted again.
No, he needs to hear this.
Clyde cried in humiliation and darted out the door, slamming it shut. Matthias was taken aback and scurried toward the door, but Catherine intervened.
We need to talk.
Yes, we do.
Matthias replied.
About your son.
Matthias, your son has been seeking your approval, love, and attention, but unfortunately, you have been preoccupied with work. Your son feels neglected and invisible to you. You have missed significant parts of his childhood, including play recitals, science fair projects, and birthday parties. All he wants is a few moments of your time without being judged. Can you please find time for him? Additionally, I would appreciate some of your time, too, considering all the effort I put in.
Matthias expressed.
I'm sorry, Catherine, but I won't be able to give you and Clyde the time you want. When I took this job years ago, I made it clear that my schedule would be tight. Perhaps you can find someone else who has more availability to help.
He grabbed his coat and briefcase. Upon opening the front door, he was met with a downpour of rain.
Let me know when he matures.
Catherine wept in the kitchen while Matthias took his final step outside the front door. During the conversation with his mother after the graduation, Clyde quickly stood up, excited as if he had discovered the solutions to all of life's problems. He boasted.
I figured it out.
Catherine asked.
Figured out what?
I can solve this.
He stated in confidence.
You'll be proud of me.
He struck a superhero pose with his hands on his hips.
I will enroll in community college.
Community college.
Catherine laughed.
That's your grand plan. What will you study?
Without being deterred by his mother's reaction, he sat beside her and unveiled his plan.
I will pursue a degree in arts and journalism. Writing is my passion, but I must temporarily put my book on hold. Once I have my degree, I will pick up where I left off and achieve great success.
If you want to pursue journalism, I'll support your decision, but I believe you have the potential to achieve greater things.
Mom, I understand your concerns,
Clyde replied.
but what would be the point of attending Oxford if I'm not interested in pursuing a science major? Writing is my passion, and I believe I can excel in it. I have a lot of ideas and material to work with, and I know I can become a successful writer someday. I understand that my decision may not align with your ideal plan for me, but I kindly request that you let me try this my way.
All right, but if it fails, be prepared to hear about it for a long time.
Understood.